it's chapter 10, right?
Yes, nice.
The deliverance of the Yamavarjun trees. And yes, so this is chapter 10. And the verse that we're on is Mani Krish. Having been
because the two sons of Kuvera had been elevated to the association of Lord Shiva, of which they were very much proud.
they were allowed to wander in a garden attached to the Kailash on the bank of the Mandakini river.
Taking advantage of this, they used to drink liquor called Naruni.
Singing after them, would wander in that garden of flowers, their eyes always rolling in intoxication. Within the waters of the Mandakini Ganges, which were crowded with the gardens of lotus flowers, the two sons of Kuber would enjoy young girls, just like two male elephants enjoying the water with female elephants. O Maharaj Parikshit, with some auspicious opportunity for the two boys, the great Saint Devarshi Narada once appeared there by chance. Seeing them intoxicated with rolling eyes, he could understand their situation. Upon seeing Narada, the naked young girls of the demigods were very much ashamed. Afraid of being cursed, they covered their bodies with their garments. But the two sons of Kavera did not do so. Demigods naked and intoxicated by opulence and false prestige. Devarshi Narada, in order to show them special mercy, special curse. This they spoke to them. Narada Muni said, among all the attractions of material enjoyment, the attraction of riches bewilders one's intelligence more than having beautiful bodily features, taking birth in an aristocratic family, being learned. When one is uneducated but falsely puffed up by wealth, the result is that one engages his wealth in enjoying wine, women, and gambling. Unable to control their senses, rascals were falsely proud of their riches, or their birth in aristocratic families are so cruel that to maintain their which they think will never go old or die, they kill the poor animals without mercy. Sometimes they kill animals merely to enjoy an excursion. Or so one may be proud of one's body, thinking oneself a very big man, minister, president, or even demigod. But whatever one may be, after death, this body will turn either into worms, into stool, or into ashes. If one kills poor animals to satisfy the temporary whims of this body, one does not know what he will suffer in his next birth. With such a sinful mystery, must go to hell and suffer the results of his actions. To the self, to the father, the mother, or the father's family. Does it belong to the person who takes it away by force, the slave master who purchases it, or to the sons who burn it in the if the body is not ruined? Who is the rightful claimant? Not to ascertain this, but instead of it's not good. This body, after all, is produced by the unmanifested nature, and again annihilated and merged into the material. Therefore, it is the common property of every one, under the circumstances, who but a rascal claims this property as his own, and while maintaining it, commits such sinful activities as killing animals, just to satisfy his whims. Unless one is a rascal, one cannot be with such sinful activities. That's it. Text number 10. Well, here we go. Deva Samgitam Apyante.
Deva Samgitam Apyante.
Krimivid Basma Sangitam.
Krimivid Basma Sangitam.
Bhuta Druktat Krite Bhartam Sarvam King Veda Nirago Nirayo Yattaha.
Kim Veda Nirayo Yattaha.
Let's do it again. Deva Sangyatitam Apyante.
Deva Samgitam Apyante.
Krimivid Basma Sangitam.
Krimivid Basma Sangitam.
Bhuta Druktat krite svartam kim veda nirayo yattaha
Deva samgitam myapyante.
krite svartam
Kim Vedanirayo
nirayo yattaha
Deva Sangitam Apyante.
deva samhitam apyante
Krimi Vedbhasma Samhitam
krivasma samhitam
Buddha Druktat Krite Swartam.
buddha krite svartam
Kim Vedanirayo Yataha
kim veda nirayo yattaha
Deva Samnitam Apyante.
deva samhitam apyante
Kramiri asam samgitam.
krivasma samhitam
Buddha Drukatat Krite Swartam.
buddha krite svartam
Kim veda nirayo yataha.
kim veda nirayo yattaha deva samhitam apyante
Krime Vidbhasma Samyata.
krivasma samhitam
Buddha Druktat Krite Swartam.
buddha krite svartam
Kim veda nirayo yataha.
kim veda nirayo yattaha. Is that everyone?
Yes.
Very, very good. Deva Sangitam. The body now known as a very exalted person. Like president, minister, or even demigod. Api, even if the body is so exalted. Ante, after death. Krimi turns into worms. Vit, or into stool. Basma sangitam, or into ashes. Bhutadruk, a person who does not accept the shastric injunctions and is unnecessarily envious of other living entities. Tatkrite, by acting in that way. Swartam, self-interest. Kim, who is there? Veda, who knows? Nirayayataha, because from such sinful activities one must suffer hellish conditions. Translation. Jai. While we'll do this together. While living, one may be proud of one's body, thinking oneself a very big man, minister, president, or even demigod. But whatever one may be, after death, this body will turn either into worms, into stool, to ashes. If one kills poor animals to satisfy the temporary whims of this body, one does not know that he will suffer in his next birth. So the sinful person. Hare Krishna, Prabhupada, Vaishnava, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki. In this verse, the three words, krimi, vid, basma, are significant. After death, the body may become krimi, which means worms. For if the body is disposed of without cremation, it may be eaten by worms, or else it may be eaten by animals like dogs and vultures, hogs and vultures, and be turned into shit. Those who are more civilized burn the dead body, and thus it becomes ashes. Yes. Basma sangitam. Yet, although the body will be turned into worms,
Stool.
or
Ashes.
ashes. Foolish persons, just to maintain it, commit many sinful activities. This is certainly regrettable. The human form of body will be turned into worm, stool, or ashes. Foolish persons, just to maintain it, commit many sinful activities. This is certainly regrettable. The human form of life is actually meant for jivasya tattva jignasa, enlightenment in knowledge of spiritual values. Therefore, one must seek shelter of a bona fide, okay, tasmad gurum prapadita. One must approach a guru. Who is a guru? Shabde pare cha nishnatam, from the 11th canto of the Bhagavatam. A guru is one who has full transcendental knowledge. Unless one approaches a spiritual master, one remains in ignorance. Acharyavan Purusho Veda, that's from the Chandogya Upanishad 6:14-2, has full knowledge about life when one is Acharyavan, controlled by the Acharya. But when one is conducted by Rajagun and Tamagun, one does not care about anything. Instead, one acts like an ordinary foolish animal risking his life, mrityu samsara bharatmani, and therefore continuing to go through suffering after suffering. Nate vidu swargagatim hi Vishnu. Yes, from the Bhagavatam 7th canto, chapter 5, text 31. Such a foolish person does not know how to elevate himself in this body. Instead, he indulges in sinful activities and goes deeper and into hellish life. Okay, that's it for Bruce. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhuttare Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Pranamane Namaste. Okay. So the story has been about the two sons of Kuvera. And fortunately, from a materialistic standpoint, everything's good. From a spiritual standpoint, it doesn't look too good. They were the sons of a rich person whose name is Kuvera, in charge of the treasury. Looks like they had access to the piggy bank, you know. But because they had everything at their disposal, everything that sense gratification offers, they went and would have fun. They spent all their money. They didn't seem to work hard, but they engaged in activities that the Bhakti Academy doesn't get involved in. Narada Muni came in their presence when they're swimming in the lake, and they're compared to elephants. They're enjoying the she-elephants. And the she-elephants were some of the Matajis who, I guess, were also having some fun. But Narada Muni came in the presence of these enjoying spirits, and people they reacted differently. The women naturally would say, "Oh my God, let's get out of here." But for the sons of Kuvera, they were just too intoxicated that they didn't realize the severity of the situation. That it was really quite, what shall I say, grave. Because a sadhu had come, and they were not reacting. They just stayed in the drunken state. I think we've seen people do that, right? Where I just came from from Buenos Aires. It's in a sort of an area where a lot of young people live and so on like that. People party till like it's 4 o'clock in the morning. And, and every time somebody's a little intoxicated, they always speak louder than they need to, you know. And you don't know what's going on. And then the sirens might go on. You know, this is it's a city that doesn't go to sleep in a certain kind of way. But so they're just trying to stimulate their senses, and they forget that this body is a machine made of the material energy. Yantra Rudhani Yudrani Maya Ya. Maya is producing this assembly line of bodies, you know? And we're sort of crawling around in these bodies and trying to make some sense of it. But most people have concluded, I've got to enjoy this body. You know, it doesn't come, let's say, at least initially, I should do tapasya. Because Brahma had an advantage over everyone else. That was the message that came to him, tapa, perform, self-discipline, do some austerity. It's the best kind of tea you can have. Austere. Okay? That's the best kind of tea you have. And so when one has a background of being fairly wealthy, there's a problem with being unable to build up sincerity and integrity. It says in the Bhagavatam, Janma Shmari Shruti Shribir Edamana Manapuman Twamakinchana Gocharam. So it means that it's hard to approach the Lord with sincere feeling if you are, let's say, coming from a fairly well, high-end background. If you're very attractive, if you're very, let's say, going to royal, parentage, that kind of thing, and some of the assets that belong to Krishna, they have a hard time approaching the Lord with sincere feeling. It's very hard. There was too much good karma, and they've identified with that karma. But the way it's supposed to work is that even though you're gifted, or you've got a lot of, a presence of gifts, talent, and so on like that, you start to identify more closely with the body, and it's just going to be a situation where it's hard to be sincere. You're just too toxic in your life. And on the other hand, those people who play a humble role, who do modest services, and they kind of just get by, and those are the kind of people that have a little more sincere feeling. They don't get puffed up in the same way. I like that term, puffed up, right? Like that. It's like this, there's always something pumping you, like when you pump up a tire, go, and it gets to the point where it's the ego that's really being pumped up, and egos are just like a hot air balloon. It's just like a hot air balloon, and all you have to do is put a little pin in there, poke it, it goes all this, and so this is the problem. It's a problem. If there is pride, there is difficulty. And the pride can also be on the spiritual plane. The gopis were proud. I've got Krishna in the Rasa dance. They were blind to see the other duplications of Krishna. Krishna was duplicated. There were many of him, but they didn't see that. They just saw, it's just me. And that's the way it works. You get so intoxicated with your body, you think you could be 73 years old, but you can still maybe think you're super young. It's a big illusion. It's very real. Or, somebody hits their midlife crisis in their life. They say, I can still enjoy, but I am getting a little older. Let me, try to be like a teenager again, And some people do real foolish things, on the second time around. That seems to be the pattern, you know. You just try to. I don't have much to live, so I better just squeeze out whatever I can. Just squeeze out like an orange, you know. Everything's out of it, or like a, gum, chewing gum. Have you ever had chewing gum? Anybody have ever chewed gum? Yeah. What is it? Wrigley's. Juicy fruit gum. Okay. And after a while, it loses its sugar, and then you stick it under your desk. So I remember when we went to school, we had an inkwell, and we were getting out of the phase of using pens, with ink and so on like that. But there was an inkwell there at least. And then there was a compartment here, and underneath was uninvited aliens. Am I right about that? Have you ever had that experience? Yeah. Sometimes you see gum is on the streets when it no longer works. You just throw it on Yonge Street, and then people walk over it, and you get all these black spots, and it's really stuck in there. So I don't know. It's not food. I guess that's a workout. If you keep it going like this. It's good for your jaws, perhaps. I imagine it probably is. But the sugar content that you put in there is not very good for you. It's not natural. Prahlad Maharaj also talks about chewing the already chewed. And that this is what material life is all about. He also talked about how when you're toxic like this, it's like making a cocoon, You spin the cocoon, and you capture yourself. You get yourself stuck in your busyness. People have you've heard quicksand, right? Quicksand. You go to some areas where anybody who's gone through this type of thing, if they're stuck in there, they start to panic, and in their panic, they tend to go down a little faster, but there is a way to actually manage it, and I don't know if I'd want to experiment, but you just try to get one leg out real slow, and then you're supposed to start to move and kind of like go on your knees, So next time if you get stuck in quicksand, you wrote it down in your paper here at the Bhagavatam class, and you know how to get out of it. Yeah. So devotees just talk about the tar baby, like and getting stuck. So, some tar, so and you're stuck like this, It says, oh God, one foot is stuck in the tar. So how do you get off? Well, you put some pressure here, and then you can lift this one up, right? So you step in more tar, and then now you're really stuck. Okay, the intelligent thing to do is I still got 2 more limbs to go. Okay, and you put your arm. I'll put pressure, and then I'll release my 2 legs, and then that's not working out. Well, I got 1 left. So you got to be pretty stupid at this point, and then maybe if you get I still have my head. It's like getting stuck in a tar baby, and so this is what's like in the material world. You think, okay, I've had some sense gratification. It's got me into trouble. Okay, you know what I'll do? I'll switch. I'll go to another form of sense gratification, and that'll relieve me. So that, but it actually gets you more implicated, more, let's say, stuck. And then, okay, that I got exhausted from that. Now let me try another brand of sense gratification. Just keep going at it, and before you know it, you're materially exhausted. And the one good thing about being materially exhausted is that I'm going to try something altogether different, and maybe I'll try this. Those guys in the orange, they always seem to be happy. They're always smiling. They seem to be singing and dancing. What makes them tick? So let me check it out. Let me check it out, baby. And see what comes of it all, right? And if they're smart, they'll say, let me do something different, like totally, of a different genre, of a different nature altogether. Some people, they They actually do that. I mean, everybody in this room has tried different forms of sense gratification. Isn't it a fact? Everybody's chewing gums. How many people chewing gum? Okay. We're all guilty. Peru, are you guilty too? Rasatma Peru? He's feeling very ashamed about it. That's the problem. And then we've tried intoxication. Has anybody here tried smoking a cigarette? And some of us conclude it's horrible. Just it's totally horrible. When it was in the 1600s, 1500s, it was during the time of Queen Elizabeth when Sir Walter Raleigh, he went to the New World. New World is North America. And he brought back this amazing stuff. It's called tobacco, right? And there's this one Indian guy who actually directed a movie with Kate Blanchett. I don't know if anybody, Elizabeth. Oh, the guy did a great job. The costumes were amazing. I saw it some years ago. Like I said before, I just look at historical stuff. And so Sir Walter Raleigh gave her a sample of this tobacco. Naturally, she's choking on it. And it's been found that people who are habitual smokers, they get this cancer, lung cancer, right? So, sometimes the indigenous people, they blame the white man for giving them fire water, which is liquor. Yeah, but you guys gave tobacco to the white guys. So anyways, even Stephen, right? You might say even Stephen. Everyone's a little guilty. We've tried these things out. And then, drinking beer and things like that. And then, all these things we try out. We realize it's just not giving a real buzz that I thought it was going to be. There's a glamour to it all, the smoking cigarettes. It was very popular with my parents' generation. It was really big for them. So you smoke, some comes out. And then there's this little beautiful kind of like, glamorous or classy stream of smoke going up in the air, and kind of like incense, and it just looks so cool, But people only do this because of insecurity. That's all. They spend a lot of money. There's one person I know. He was from Burlington, and he was smoking a cigarette pack every day, and then he came to Krishna consciousness. He started to use the fingers, in a different way, the beads, and instead of like all of this, he started to use the beads, and he was chanting japa every day to help him to overcome the problem. And he became one of our best devotees in Canada. His name's Ghosh Thakur. He's French-Canadian, and he was smoking a pack of cigarettes. Then he got into chanting. He had a lot of willpower. So this is the point. You actually have to have a lot of determination to overcome these problems. Anyways, we do have choices. There's BHAKTMARGA, and then there's Nivritti. You've probably written this down before. Nivritti means the path of renunciation, Nivritti. And Pravritti is the path of sense enjoyment, where you try all kinds of, Vishaya. Vishaya means objects of sense gratification. Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehina. Krishna talks about this sense objects that we go after. And you get so hooked on it, even if you try to run away from it, it just kind of stays with you. There's like an aftertaste for it. There is a lingering, haunting, grab, the claws are in there from the past, Just like say, like the marijuana, there's a lot of marijuana in the air these days. And if you liked it in the past, oh yeah, that was kind of sweet, better than cigarettes. But, so it lingers, right? Or you like pizza, with pepperoni on it, right? That's like a no-no for us, right? And yet maybe you smell it and you enjoyed it at one time in your life, and now you give it up. There is these products you've heard about, near meat products, You have like bologna or something like that. made out of soya products. You can have veggie burgers made of soya. And, so it might smell a little bit, look like the real thing, but it isn't the real thing. Okay. Anyways, what is the real thing? The real thing is Krishna Prasad. The real thing is the holy name. That's the best music that there is. There's when devotees were in, where I just came from in Argentina, there's a few very talented guys there, and they always play some reggae music, and it was, so I like reggae. It's good, nice, it moves, it's happy, it's good, happy and hopeful, lyrics, they are, and and a lot of people were dancing to that. I wish we have somebody could do reggae music in the Rath Theatre. It would be kind of nice, right, on the island. But anyways, don't get started, and don't even think about trying to start a band. So that was just like a dovetailing of this in Krishna service. Prabhupada also saw that, some of the pop music, it wasn't really working out for a lot of devotees who were dabbling in that area. It really didn't work out. He just didn't see good results from it. It doesn't matter how well you play. It's hard to stay serious, if you get so addicted to these things. Anyways, the most important thing, like we're quoting from the Bhagavatam, that you cannot approach the Lord with sincere feelings. So let's get sincere then. Right? What does it mean to be sincere? Does anybody have an idea what sincerity really means? Question.
Chanting 16 rounds daily.
That may be true. That shows that you're sincere. But what is the definition of someone who's sincere? What would you say? Because it's important. Rupa Goswami talks about it's the key to success in devotional life is sincerity. What's
Like a sense of integrity, like walking the talk.
Yes, integrity is a good word. That just slap on there. You have to tag on. Yes, you had one?
Being honest with yourself.
Yeah, being honest with yourself. These are good phrases. I think they're really the best. What do you have?
Truthfulness and intention.
Being truthfulness in intention. Yep, I think that's, all those three are good. We got another one, I think.
Doing the best you can.
Doing the best you can. Yeah, that's like a phrase that would capsulize what is sincerity. That's right. Those to be very honest, thoroughly honest, and those are some key factors involved. So I think we can keep those things in mind, and always be sincere. It's not. I was sincere on my first days when I joined. I was just a novice. I didn't know anything, so everyone was telling me what to do. But now I've been at the whole game for 10 years or so. I know everything. You're a little puffed up. I'm a Vaishnava. I got my thread to prove. Got my second. I'm working on my third. Working on my third. So we get a little puffed up. We get a little puffed up. But the gopis, they also got proud, and anybody gets a little bit proud. That you? Why? You don't look like a gopi. I don't know where that came from. Thanks for helping to bring on some, comic relief here. Yeah. So, we have to be very thoroughly honest with ourselves. It means you have to look within. Bhaktisiddhanta used the phrase, look within. Isn't it great? Look within, Go inside, I'm not talking about the guts or the entrails, we're not talking about the liver and the heart and all that. We're really talking about more the psychological self, not the physical self. And so we have to do that. And because we can't always be thoroughly honest with ourselves, therefore you have teachers, you have like guru, somebody who's there to help you along your way. Somebody's much more experienced. That's what you need, more experienced people to put things straight for you because you love yourself and you've got a blind spot for yourself. Just think I'm the greatest thing. Like most people don't realize it, but I am a very important person. When I was born, it was a good day. You know? And when I die, it'll be a bad day. Because the universe will be missing me. You know? So we can't have those kind of attitudes. It's not very conducive for developing spiritually. Okay, so, I do hear people complain, oh, we're paying so many taxes, and, this and that, and yeah, but do you have a roof over your head? I do, but still I'm paying too much taxes on that roof, and is there some food in the refrigerator? Oh, yeah, we're doing okay, is your furnace broken? Is it working in the winter time? Well, it's working. Yeah, we got it going. So, we don't look at those positive things that we have achieved. If you're doing really well, you look at the way the rest of the world is. You're doing really good. So what are you complaining about? I would say complaining is one of the worst things to do. It brings you down. You're just in the tamagun category, always complaining, always throwing negative energy out there. Isn't it disgusting? You just want to ship those kind of people on an island and just let them, make sure there's a big moat and there's sharks all around so they can't escape. Yeah, it's just horrible to have those kind of people around. And negativity is just not very progressive for spiritual development. Yeah. Anyways, we touched on a few things. Some of you took notes, some of you wrote them on papers, some of you took mental notes. Maybe we could repeat a few of those small things, or we could reflect and, have some questions flying in the air. Yes?
I have a question. So, sometimes Srila Prabhupada is very direct and very
Blunt.
very hard. And we can see that he knows where to use what. Sometimes he's very soft also.
Yeah.
So how do we know where to be very hard, very direct?
It takes some time. It's an art, and it takes some time to develop it. One nice thing about being students of Bhagavad Gita is like it's a psychological book, It helps you to understand the psyche of an individual. And after some time, you get to know people's natures, It's just like, most of you know Jamuna Jivana, he does these tattoos, right? Over the years, he's had so many customers. And I'm sure, by looking at them, he can understand, read their minds, or based on their questions, or they're being quiet. After the barber or the hairdresser, the hairstylist, they get to know everybody because you talk about, while they're working on your hair. I don't have to worry about these things. Some of us do, but they work at you and they start talking. They get to know you after a while. You tell them more than you do your minister at church. So that's I don't. Does that answer the question?
Yes, ma'am.
Pretty much. Does it
Yeah.
get to the main point?
You need to have some intelligence.
Could you say that again?
You need to have some intelligence and some experience.
Yeah.
So after some time.
Yeah. It takes like Prabhupada would just say something to that effect. It takes some it takes some maturity, basically. It's not something that you can understand overnight. But it's fun to be able to, kind of more or less read minds or study, know what's going on in somebody's head just based on their behavior. It's one of the 64 arts that Krishna learned, when he went to school. He was a genius. His IQ was way up there. You can't measure it. But, he would learn an art in the morning. By nighttime, he'd have it mastered. He and his brother Balaram. So it takes a little bit of experience. maturity. So you just have to be patient with a few of those things. Yeah, any other points for Bruce? Because it's important. Anything else that you like that was brought up that, or you didn't like? Let me see what you got. Okay. Doing no good. What are you complaining about? Let's look at this. No, those people who didn't write any notes, we're just assuming you've got all kept it in your head. Does anybody have something in their head that they want to share? Yeah, okay.
Maharaj, you mentioned that you cannot approach God without sincerity.
Yeah.
And
It's difficult when you have those assets, those material assets. When you have some good karma, sometimes it goes against you. Doesn't always have to be, but you get intoxicated. You have to know how to. Like we went to the East Coast. In New Brunswick, we always hear that the Irvings, it's like a family, a rich family. They own the province practically, the oil and the timber. They got the industries kind of covered. And, you know, but I learned from at least one of the locals there, no, they're not that, you know, they're not that contaminated, you know, they're not that proud, you know. Most of the family, they don't drink, you know, so there's tea. I remember there was, we used to buy tiles from, this company was owned by a Jewish family, you know, and they're doing really good with their tiles. You know? And, but they're Orthodox Jews, you know, they don't get involved in the, you know, messing around with Maya in a big way. And, you know, we had the Hindujas here sometime in the past, you know, probably heard about them, the Hindujas. They're kind of pious people. They support a lot of temples. And what's that other, the Tata family and the people that are behind that business, the automobile business. Yeah, and you know, so, but they're quite simple. And what was the name of that temple that Gandhi came out of, and that just before he got assassinated? What's the name of it? He was in Delhi. The Birla. Yeah, the Birla family. They're also fairly wealthy, and they've opened up so many temples. You know, they're pious. You know? It's not that just because you have a lot of money, you're always totally intoxicated. It's not always like that. And when we do go to New Brunswick, we go to the Irving Nature Park, and it's just a wonderful place. We have these great conversations with devotees. There's deer all over the place, and squirrels, and then you can see the tide coming in. And there's that one side where the seals always come out, like this, they pop their heads out like this. You know. That is a beautiful spot, beautiful, beautiful. But oftentimes it is the case that if you're not like trained, you know, you went from rags to riches. You know. We have some people who run the live theaters here in Toronto. Many of them were started by Jewish guys who became penniless here. They became penniless decades ago, and then they started to own, you know, pick up. They started with nothing, and they ended up with big, you know, an empire. So it's not like they're. Yeah. Anything else for Bruce? Yeah.
Maharaj, I really like that example of being stuck in the tar.
Oh, yeah.
With one foot and trying to get out with the other foot and then with all of the limbs. I feel like very simple and related. And fun example that could be used
Yeah.
in conversing with people.
Yeah, some people are very silly about it, you know. The example that Prabhupada gives is that the woman who's carrying this kind of like firewood. Oh, it's so heavy, it's so heavy. You know, I don't know, to God, please, you know, help me with this weight. So she said, I'll shift it. She shifts it over to this way, and it's the same weight, it's the same amount. I said, oh, it's so heavy on the shoulder. I'll try it in the hip, you know. So you keep changing your positions and strategies, and it's all just the same burdensomeness. And it's just because you made a little adjustment doesn't mean that it's gonna, you know, you got a new lease on life. No, it's not like that. You're just fooling yourself. You're a chain of fools, you know. Chain of fools. You're part of a chain of fools. Now, if you're with the chain of parampara, then it's okay. But with your chain of fools, does anybody know? Here's where I'm getting my little plug-in for pop culture. Okay? Chain, 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 chain of fools. Also, a beautiful dancing piece. But chain of fools. That's where most people are. They just follow the blind, leading the blind like that. This is artist, Flemish artist, and he did, you know, a picture, a depiction of a trail of people, and they're all blind, and one is walking, stepping, and he's falling in. He's going to fall into the ditch. You can see it, and you can understand what's going to happen to the rest of them, because they're following the blind. Atayadandayar Upaniyamanam, and it's, you know, it's in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says, you know, so basically the blind leading the blind. So start to have some vision, you know, wake up. All right. So, yeah, anything else? We have time for one more, I guess. Yes.
If you take a humble position, you're more likely to be sincere.
If you
Take
to humble, yes, that's right. And you know, if you've got what you need, there's no need to strive. Like going for extraneous endeavors, you know, it's also what's going to weaken you spiritually. It's what the Rupa Goswami explains. It's one of the causes of, you know, weakening when you endeavor for that which is hard to achieve. So don't spend too much time there. Oh yeah, Bruegel, I think was his name. How do you like that, Peruz? See, they're obviously blind. The one's falling in the ditch, and the other. Who found that? You did? You heard it? You just. Huh?
I just typed it there.
And did his name come up?
Yeah, Google.
Bruegel. Isn't that great? Isn't that fantastic? This is an old piece. I mean, if you follow the blind, you'll go over the cliff because you're blind. And if other people, well, I'm just following the alpha male here. So then, okay, and then it's a big mess down below. More than broken bones. People have lost their lives. Yeah. Okay, great. Let's get some life.